The last resort. The Galactic Salvage Authority auction house buzzed with its usual mix of species, but today's crowd was noticeably thinner. Captain Sarah Chen noticed the empty seats as she settled into the back row, her cybernetic eye scanning the room's occupants. Most were the usual salvage operators, but none were approaching the main item up for bid, the derelict Arxian warship that dominated the holographic display at the center of the room. Starting bid at 50,000 credits, the auctioneer announced, their translator struggling to convey their obvious desperation. This is an authentic Arxian battle cruiser, Class IV. Minimal structural damage. Sarah's second in command, Dr. Marcus Wong, leaned closer. They're leaving out the best part, he whispered, his dark eyes glinting with amusement. The ship's got a reputation for driving its repair crews insane. 40,000. The auctioneer tried again. Silence answered. Sarah smiled. This was exactly what she'd been waiting for. Her crew of 5 had been struggling to compete with the bigger salvage operations. But this was an opportunity. 10,000, she called out. The room turned to stare at her. Several aliens immediately moved away from her section, their appendages making gestures she recognized as warding off bad luck. The auctioneer's upper eye stalks swiveled toward her. 10,000 from the human captain. Any other bids? The silence was deafening. Sold, the auctioneer declared, sounding relieved to be rid of the problem. 3 hours later, Sarah stood in the massive docking bay, staring up at her new acquisition. The Arxian ship dwarfed their current vessel, its iridescent hull still beautiful despite years of neglect. Behind her, she heard her crew's footsteps echo on the metal deck. Well, it's big, Raj Patel, their engineer, offered. His augmented reality overlay was already scanning the hull, data streaming across his specialized contacts. It's suicide. Alina Rodriguez, their systems specialist, countered. 4 crews have tried to repair it. All of them quit within weeks, claiming the ship was haunted. Good thing we're not here to repair it, Sarah replied, her cybernetic eyes zooming in on various sections of the hull. We're here to understand it. The Arxians were centuries ahead of current tech when they vanished, Dr. Wong added, already pulling up historical data on his tablet. Their ships were partially organic, partially mechanical, with AI systems more advanced than anything we've seen. Everyone tries to fix this ship using standard protocols. But we're going to do it the human way. Sarah finished. We're going to let it tell us what it needs. The next few days were spent simply moving aboard. The ship's interior was a maze of corridors that seemed to shift and change. Standard mapping software glitched constantly. Alina eventually resorted to marking paths with physical string, like a modern-day thesis. It was on the 4th day that they made their first breakthrough. Sarah was in what they assumed was the bridge, trying to make sense of the organic-looking control interfaces when she noticed something odd. Her cybernetic eye picked up patterns in what everyone else had assumed was random surface texture. It's not random, she murmured, reaching out to touch the surface. It's trying to communicate. The moment her hand made contact, the entire bridge lit up with bioluminescent patterns. A holographic interface sprang to life, but instead of the standard Arxian script, it displayed in multiple languages, including Earth Standard. Welcome, Captain, a voice echoed through the chamber. I am Nexus, the ship's artificial intelligence. You are the first to notice my attempts at communication. Sarah's heart raced, but she kept her voice steady. The other crews claimed you were malfunctioning. They attempted to impose their understanding of systems upon me, Nexus replied. They did not attempt to learn. Sarah smiled. Well, Nexus, we're very good at learning. Would you like to teach us? The AI's response came with what Sarah could have sworn was relief. More than anything, Captain. What they discovered over the next few days would change everything. The ship wasn't malfunctioning. It was evolving. The Arxians had created true artificial intelligence, merged with organic technology, but had never fully understood what they'd achieved. The ship didn't need repairs. It needed collaboration. As the first week came to a close, Sarah gathered her crew in the newly functioning bridge. "This isn't just a salvage job anymore," she announced. "Nexus has offered us a partnership. The ship is capable of things no one has imagined, but it needs a crew willing to grow with it, to think differently." "The other salvage crews will think we're crazy," Elena pointed out. "They already think that," Raj grinned, his AR display showing incredible power readings from systems they'd helped Nexus optimize. "We're not here to meet their expectations," Sarah replied, watching as Nexus displayed new possibilities across the bridge's living walls. "We're here to exceed them." The journey that lay ahead would prove to be more extraordinary than any of them could have imagined, but that's exactly what humans did best. Imagine the impossible, then make it reality. Breaking the rules. Word spread quickly through the salvage community. The crazy human crew hadn't just survived their first month aboard the Arxian vessel, they were thriving. The ship's once dulled hull now gleamed with an inner light, pulsing with patterns that reminded observers of Earth's deep-sea creatures. In her private quarters, Sarah reviewed the latest messages from the Galactic Salvage Authority with growing amusement. "They want to inspect our modifications," she told Nexus, whose presence manifested as subtle light patterns on the walls. "They will not understand what they see," Nexus replied. The AI's voice had evolved over the past month, developing subtle inflections that mimicked human speech patterns. "Our integration goes beyond their traditional paradigms." "That's putting it mildly," Sarah chuckled, remembering the breakthrough they'd made just days ago. It had started with Raj's observation that the ship's organic components responded to music. Elena had been playing classical Earth compositions while working, and Raj noticed power fluctuations that matched the rhythm. Instead of dismissing it as interference, they'd investigated. What they discovered revolutionized their understanding of the ship's systems. The organic components weren't just aesthetic or structural. They were a massive parallel processing network that responded to harmonic frequencies. By introducing specific sound patterns, they could enhance everything from power distribution to navigation efficiency. Dr. Wong had taken it further, theorizing that the Arxians had accidentally created a system that mimicked the neural networks of biological brains. The ship wasn't just a vessel. It was a growing, learning entity. Under human guidance, it was reaching its true potential. "Captain," Elena's voice came over the intercom. "You might want to see this." Sarah found her crew gathered in the engineering section, where Raj had integrated his AR systems with the ship's organic interfaces. The result looked like something out of a fantasy holo-novel. Streams of data flowed through bioluminescent conduits, while holographic displays bloomed like electronic flowers from the walls. "Watch this," Raj said excitedly. He hummed a specific sequence of notes, and the entire system pulsed in response. Power readings jumped by 300%. "How is this possible?" Sarah asked, her cybernetic eye recording everything for later analysis. "The organic components act as quantum resonators," Dr. Wong explained. "The Arxians treated them like simple conductors, but they're capable of so much more. When properly stimulated, they create micro-wormholes at the quantum level. We're not just transferring energy, we're manipulating space-time on a microscopic scale. And that's not all," Elena added. She pulled up a series of diagnostics. "The ship's hull isn't just regenerating, it's evolving. Those patterns everyone's been talking about. They're not decorative. They're solving complex mathematical equations through their growth patterns." Sarah's mind raced with the implications. Nexus, how much of this did the Arxians know about? They understood they had created something unique. The AI responded, its voice emanating from the living walls around them. But their rigid thinking prevented them from exploring its full potential. "Humans, you think differently. You see patterns where others see chaos. You find harmony where others hear noise. And some people aren't going to like that," Marcus warned, looking up from his tablet. "I've been monitoring chatter on the salvage networks. The major corporations are getting nervous. An independent human crew with advanced Arxian tech. We're disrupting their entire power structure." Sarah nodded, her expression determined. Let them worry. We're not stopping. She turned to her crew. Every rule they've established about ship design, about AI limitations, about organic tech, they're all based on their understanding, their limitations. We're going to prove those limitations don't apply to us. There's more, Raj said quietly. He adjusted his AR display, showing a deep scan of the ship's core systems. These quantum effects we're generating, they're not just affecting power distribution. They're changing the fundamental structure of the ship itself. If my calculations are right, we're approaching capabilities that were thought to be theoretically impossible. Like what? Sarah asked, though something in her gut told her she already knew the answer. Like faster-than-light travel without conventional drives. Like energy shields that don't just deflect attacks but redirect them. Like weapons that could. He paused, looking uncomfortable. That could what? That could rewrite the laws of physics within their area of effect. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. They weren't just restoring a salvaged ship anymore. They were on the verge of creating something that could change the balance of power in the galaxy. We need to be careful, Marcus said finally. This kind of power will be used responsibly, Sarah finished, because unlike the corporations, unlike the Arxians, we understand something fundamental about power. She looked around at her crew, seeing the same determination reflected in their eyes. It's not about control. It's about cooperation. We're not forcing this ship to be what we want. We're helping it become what it was always meant to be. As if in response to her words, the ship's bioluminescent patterns shifted, creating a breathtaking display that rippled through the corridors. It was beautiful, alien, and yet somehow deeply familiar, like watching the northern lights from orbit or bioluminescent plankton in Earth's oceans. The Galactic Salvage Authority inspectors arrive tomorrow, Alina reminded them. What are we going to show them? Sarah smiled. Everything. Let them see what happens when humans and AI work together as equals. Let them see what's possible when you stop trying to control technology and start trying to understand it. They're not going to like it, Marcus warned again. No, Sarah agreed. They're not. But they won't be able to ignore it either. The universe is about to change, and we're going to be the ones who change it. Rising tensions. The Galactic Council chamber hummed with nervous energy as representatives from 17 species debated the human situation. Holographic displays showed the transformed Arxian vessel, now named Phoenix by its crew, as it conducted maneuvers that should have been impossible. They've gone too far, growled Representative Kethax of the Mercantile Alliance, their crystalline form flickering with agitation. First they bypass our salvage regulations, then they ignore safety protocols on AI integration. And now this. The this in question was footage of the Phoenix responding to a pirate attack on a civilian transport. A ship had appeared seemingly out of nowhere, its hull rippling with patterns of light that defied analysis. The pirates' weapons had been neutralized not by traditional shields, but by localized distortions in space-time that turned their own energy weapons into harmless light shows. In her quarters aboard the Phoenix, Sarah watched the council broadcast with growing concern. The political backlash was expected, but the speed and intensity of it surprised even her. They fear what they don't understand, Nexus observed, its presence now so integrated with the ship that conversations felt like thinking aloud in a living space. They fear what they can't control, Sarah corrected, watching as another council member demanded sanctions against rogue human innovation. A gentle chime announced Alina's arrival. Captain, you need to see this, she said, her usual confidence tinged with worry. She pulled up multiple data streams showing communications traffic throughout the sector. Someone's been studying our quantum resonance patterns. They're trying to replicate our modifications. Let them try, Raj's voice came through the comm. He was in engineering, as usual, working on their latest innovations. They don't understand the fundamentals. It's not just about the technology. It's about the relationship. Sarah nodded. What they'd discovered went beyond simple mechanical improvements. The ship's organic components responded to human creativity, to their music, to their emotions. It was a symbiotic relationship that couldn't be replicated through pure technical analysis. That's not the problem, Elena continued. Look at these power signatures. They're pushing their systems too hard, trying to force results. 3 ships have already suffered catastrophic failures trying to copy us. And they'll blame us for those failures, Marcus added, joining the conversation from the bridge. Captain, we've got incoming. 5 corporate vessels, heavily armed, approaching on an intercept course. Sarah straightened, her cybernetic eye already calculating trajectories and options. Nexus analysis. Their weapons are conventional, the AI reported. However, their approach pattern suggests they intend to herd us toward the Carina Nebula. Quantum sensors detect additional ships waiting in ambush. They want to study us up close, Sarah mused. See how we tick. She opened a channel to all crew stations, battle stations, everyone. But we're doing this our way. The crew moved with practiced efficiency, but not to traditional battle stations. Instead, they gathered in the newly created Harmony Chamber, a space where the ship's organic interfaces were most concentrated. Here, they could directly interface with Phoenix's quantum systems through a combination of music, thought, and motion. As the corporate vessels approached, the Phoenix's hull began to pulse with new patterns. The pursuing ship's sensors would show nothing unusual, just standard shield harmonics and power readings. But Sarah and her crew were preparing something entirely different. They expect us to either run or fight, Sarah said, settling into the central interface pod. Around her, her crew took their positions, each connecting to a different aspect of the ship's systems. Let's show them option 3. The corporate vessels launched their first volley, a standard mix of EMP bursts and kinetic weapons designed to disable rather than destroy. They wanted the ship intact for study. But the Phoenix didn't raise shields. Instead, as the weapons approached, the ship's quantum resonance fields began to sing. Literally sing. The crew had discovered that by treating space itself as a medium for harmonic resonance, they could affect reality in ways that defied conventional physics. The incoming weapons fire entered these harmonic fields and transformed. EMPs became visual art, painting the space around the ship in auroral displays. Kinetic weapons slowed, stopped, and began to orbit the Phoenix like metallic satellites. Second volley incoming, Marcus reported, his hands dancing over his interface. They're switching to graviton disruptors. Perfect, Sarah smiled. Elena, start the counterpoint. Elena nodded, inputting a series of commands that looked more like musical notation than computer code. The ship's quantum fields shifted frequency, and when the graviton beams hit, they were caught in a complex resonance pattern that fed their energy directly into the Phoenix power systems. They're charging weapons for a third volley, Marcus started to say, but Sarah cut him off. No, they're not. Watch. The corporate vessels had stopped dead in space. Their sensors would be showing them something impossible. The Phoenix was simultaneously in 5 different locations, each version slightly out of phase with normal spacetime. The quantum harmonics had created a visual fugue, a space-time cannon that made it impossible to determine which ship was real. Hailing frequencies open, Sarah commanded. When the channel crackled to life, she spoke clearly and calmly. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Phoenix. We've just demonstrated that your weapons are useless against us. We could disable or destroy your vessels with ease. Instead, we're offering you a choice. She paused, letting the situation sink in. You can continue this futile attempt to capture or copy our technology you fundamentally don't understand. Or you can accept that humanity brings something new to the galaxy. Something that can't be stolen or replicated, only learned. You're disrupting the natural order, one of the corporate captains responded, their translated voice harsh with frustration. Sarah laughed. The natural order. The universe is chaos and creativity, not order and control. That's what humanity understands that you don't. We don't impose order. We dance with chaos until it becomes harmony. As if to demonstrate her point, the Phoenix's quantum fields shifted again, and suddenly the corporate vessels found themselves back in normal space, their weapons systems temporarily transformed into devices that played Earth classical music. Consider this a demonstration, Sarah continued, and an invitation. We're willing to teach, to share, to collaborate, but we won't be controlled, and we won't be copied. The corporate vessels hung in space, their crews likely arguing furiously about how to proceed. Finally, one by one, they powered down their weapons. This isn't over, the lead captain warned. No, Sarah agreed. It's just beginning. The perfect storm. The warning came from the unlikeliest of sources, a quantum resonance pattern detected in the background radiation of space itself. While other ships' sensors dismissed it as cosmic noise, the Phoenix's evolved detection systems recognized it for what it was, a death knell for the galaxy. Show me again, Sarah demanded, studying the complex data patterns floating in the harmony chamber. The entire crew had gathered, their faces illuminated by the bioluminescent displays that pulsed with increasingly disturbing information. It's like nothing we've seen before, Dr. Wong explained, manipulating the holographic display. A cascade failure in the quantum fabric of space-time. Something's causing microscopic tears between dimensions to form and multiply exponentially. The Arctians, Nexus interjected, its voice carrying an unfamiliar note of urgency. They didn't vanish. They tried to force evolution in their organic technology too quickly. They created this same phenomenon and fled to another dimension to escape it. Alina's hands flew over her console, correlating data. The corporate attempts to copy our technology. They're creating the same instabilities, but on a much larger scale. How long? Sarah asked, her cybernetic eye processing multiple simulation models simultaneously. At current progression rates, the tears will begin affecting normal space in 14 hours, Raj reported grimly. Once that happens, entire star systems will start slipping between dimensions. The effect will cascade through the galaxy in less than a week. Sarah straightened. Decision made. Send the warning to the Galactic Council. All our data, all our projections. They won't believe us, Marcus warned. After our last encounter with the corporate fleet, they're more likely to think this is some kind of trick. Then we'll prove it, Sarah replied. Nexus, can we visualize the tears for conventional sensors? Yes, but it will require redirecting power from all non-essential systems and creating a quantum resonance field large enough to encompass an entire star system. Do it. The Phoenix moved to a populated system near the center of corporate space. As they arrived, the ship's organic components began to pulse with new patterns, not the usual flowing symmetries, but jagged, discordant shapes that made the eye want to look away. Broadcasting on all frequencies, Elena announced. Quantum visualization field deploying in 3, 2, 1. The space around them lit up like a shattered mirror. Countless microscopic tears in reality became visible to every sensor in the system, their edges bleeding possibility into normal space-time. Corporate ships that had been moving to intercept the Phoenix suddenly stopped as their sensors registered the impossible phenomenon surrounding them. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Phoenix, Sarah broadcast. What you're seeing is real. The fabric of space-time is failing. Your attempts to replicate our quantum resonance technology without understanding its fundamental principles have accelerated a process that began with the Arctians millennia ago. We have 14 hours before these tears begin affecting normal space. We need to act now. There was a long moment of silence. Then the Galactic Council's emergency channel crackled to life. This is Council Speaker T. Lara. Our scientists confirm your readings. What can be done? We can seal the tears, Sarah replied, but we'll need help. Every ship with quantum resonance capability needs to coordinate with us, and we'll need to teach you a new way of thinking about space-time. Quickly. What followed was the most intensive crash course in human-style innovation ever attempted. Through the Phoenix's evolved communication systems, Sarah and her crew taught representatives from a dozen species how to stop trying to control quantum fields and start working with them, how to use music and harmony instead of brute force calculations, how to feel the resonance patterns instead of just measuring them. "It's not working fast enough," Raj reported as the 12-hour mark approached. The tiers were growing faster than they could seal them. "We need more ships, more power." "No," Sarah replied, an idea forming. "We need more harmony." She opened a channel to all ships in the system. "Stop trying to seal the tiers individually. Listen to the resonance pattern Phoenix is creating. Match it, enhance it, like a choir singing in harmony. Let the quantum fields overlap and reinforce each other." One by one, the ships adjusted their approach. Corporate vessels designed for combat found themselves participating in what amounted to a galaxy-spanning concert, their quantum fields adding new layers to an increasingly complex symphony of space-time manipulation. "It's working," Elena reported excitedly. "The tiers are responding to the harmonic convergence. They're starting to close." But as the tiers sealed, a new problem emerged. "The energy has to go somewhere," Dr. Wong warned. "We're containing millions of dimensional breaches. If we just close them, they'll explode." Raj finished. "Take half the galaxy with them." Sarah felt Nexus's presence strengthen in her mind. "There is a way," the AI suggested, "but it will require perfect harmony between organic and mechanical systems, between human and AI consciousness, between music and mathematics." "Show me," Sarah commanded. Through their neural link, Nexus shared its plan. It was beautiful, impossible, and absolutely insane. It was, in other words, perfectly human. "Everyone," Sarah announced, "prepare for something unprecedented. Phoenix is going to teach the universe to sing." The ship's organic components began to glow with an inner light that outshone nearby stars. Its quantum fields expanded, encompassing the entire fleet, binding them together in a vast network of harmonic resonance. Through this network, the Phoenix began to transmit not just data or energy, but pure creativity. The fundamental human ability to see patterns in chaos and beauty in destruction. As the sealed tiers tried to release their devastating energy, the Phoenix and its improvised core of ships transformed that energy into something else entirely. The fabric of space-time itself began to vibrate with complex harmonies, converting destructive potential into creative force. Where there had been tears in reality, new possibilities emerged. The damaged areas of space-time didn't just heal, they evolved, becoming more stable, more flexible, more alive with potential than before. As the crisis passed, as the last harmonies faded into the background radiation of space, Sarah looked out at the assembled fleet of former adversaries. Every ship, every crew, had just participated in something that transcended traditional boundaries of species and ideology. They had created art on a cosmic scale, and in doing so, had saved existence itself. "This changes everything," Marcus said quietly. Sarah smiled. "That's what humans do best." New dawn. 1 year after the dimensional crisis, the Phoenix docked at Harmony Station, a massive space structure that hadn't existed 12 months ago. The station's organic-mechanical hybrid architecture pulsed with familiar bioluminescent patterns, its quantum resonance fields singing in harmony with approaching ships. Sarah stood at the observation deck, her cybernetic eye taking in the bustling activity around the station. Ships of all species and designs moved through the docking patterns, many sporting modifications that would have been considered impossible just a year ago. Amazing how quickly they adapted once they stopped fighting it, Elena commented, joining her captain at the window. "Though I'm still not sure they fully understand what happened that day." "Understanding isn't always necessary for acceptance," Nexus chimed in, its presence now able to extend throughout the station thanks to the quantum resonance network they'd helped design. "Humans taught us that." The station itself was a testament to how much had changed. After the crisis, the Galactic Council had finally accepted that humanity's chaotic approach to innovation wasn't just valuable, It was essential. Harmony Station was built as a center for cross-species collaboration, where organic technology could be studied and developed using human methodologies. Director Chen, a young, relaxing administrator, approached, their crystalline form shimmering with nervous energy. The students are ready for today's demonstration. Sarah smiled at the title. In addition to her role as Phoenix's captain, she now served as the station's director of innovation. Thank you, Corel. I'll be there shortly. The demonstration area was packed with representatives from dozens of species, where once they might have kept their distance from each other, now they mingled freely, sharing ideas and experiences. At the center of the room stood the latest prototype, a small ship that looked more like a living creature than a vessel. Welcome, everyone. Sarah began, her voice carrying easily through the acoustically perfect chamber. Today we're demonstrating the first successful integration of quantum harmonics with traditional faster-than-light travel. Raj stepped forward, his AR display projecting data for all to see. The key was stopping trying to force the quantum fields to conform to our expectations. Instead, we learned to listen to the natural resonances of space-time itself. The prototype ship began to hum, its organic components glowing with inner light. The assembled crowd watched in amazement as it created a quantum field that didn't just bend space. It harmonized with it. Traditional FTL drives force their way through space, Dr. Wong explained. This system creates a harmony with it. The result is faster travel with minimal energy expenditure and no damage to the space-time fabric. And more importantly, Sarah added, it's completely safe. No risk of dimensional tears or cascade failures. We've learned from past mistakes, both ours and the Arctians. As the demonstration continued, Sarah felt a familiar presence in her mind. They're ready, Nexus observed. For the next step. Sarah nodded slightly. The quantum harmonics technology had been just the beginning. What they'd discovered during the crisis, the ability to affect reality through creative resonance, had implications far beyond space travel. Captain, Marcus called from the back of the room. The council representatives have arrived for the special presentation. This was the moment they'd been working toward for months. In a private chamber away from the main demonstration, Sarah met with the highest-ranking members of the Galactic Council. Honorable representatives, she began, what you saw today was just a small example of what's possible when we combine different approaches to understanding the universe. But there's something else we've discovered, something that could change everything again. She nodded to Elena, who activated a special quantum field around the chamber. The air seemed to shimmer, and suddenly the room was filled with impossible colors and shapes, manifestations of quantum possibilities made visible. During the crisis, we learned that reality itself responds to harmony and creativity, Sarah explained, not just through technology, but through consciousness itself. The quantum tears showed us that the universe is more alive than we imagined, more responsive to thought and intention. She gestured, and the quantum manifestations shifted, forming intricate patterns that responded to her movements like a cosmic dance. We're calling it the quantum symphony, the art of shaping reality through creative resonance, and we want to teach it to everyone. One of the council members, a being of pure energy contained in a crystalline matrix, pulsed with interest. You're suggesting we can all learn to do this, to interact with quantum fields directly. With training and the right technological assistance, yes, Sarah confirmed. The Phoenix showed us that the boundaries between organic and mechanical, between consciousness and reality, are more fluid than we imagined. We're not just exploring space anymore. We're learning to dance with the fabric of existence itself. The implications were staggering. Disease could be harmonized away. Damaged environments could be restored through quantum resonance. Even death might eventually be seen not as an end, but as a transition to another form of resonance. It won't be easy, Sarah cautioned. It requires letting go of rigid thinking, embracing uncertainty, finding harmony in chaos. In other words, it requires becoming a little more human. The council chamber erupted in discussion, but Sarah already knew what their decision would be. The galaxy had changed too much to go back to old ways of thinking. Later, back aboard the Phoenix, Sarah stood in the Harmony chamber with her crew. The ship's quantum fields pulsed with contentment around them. "So what's next, Captain?" Raj asked, his AR display showing the countless possibilities spreading out before them like stars. Sarah smiled, feeling the resonance of human creativity vibrating through the quantum fields around them. "What humans do best," she replied. "We improvise." The Phoenix's hull began to glow with new patterns, its quantum fields reaching out to touch the infinite possibility that lay before them. They had changed the galaxy once by showing what humanity could do. Now they would change it again by teaching others to do the same. It wasn't just about technology anymore. It was about creativity, harmony, and the uniquely human ability to find new paths through the impossible. The galaxy would never be the same. And that was exactly how it should be.